This is the Tame Aperture podcast.
Open the pod bay doors, please, Hal.
Hello, Hal, do you read me?
Do you read me, Hal? Do you read me, Hal?
Affirmative, Dave. I read you. I read you. I read you.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Come on down and jump some of this shit.
You'll always have backup. Sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Welcome to the Tame Aperture podcast, where we talk all things movies, from studio films to indie, art house, and much, much more. Today on the podcast, we open up our 2021 horror month with a little film about the boogeyman. Yes, we are talking Halloween 2018 by director David Gordon Green. This is the 11th installment in the Halloween film franchise. It is considered a direct sequel to the original film back in 1978. Retconning all previous sequels. The film stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Andi Matichak, and Nick Castle. Laurie Strode confronts her longtime foe, Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago. The film runs 1 hour, 46 minutes, is rated R, and was distributed by Universal Pictures. I'm Gabe Vienendahl, filmmaker, film instructor, and movie enthusiast, and I'm joined as always by Alan Martindale, veteran podcaster and editor, and back from the depths of hell itself, Tame Aperture OG and filmmaker, friend, and foe. What? Brandon Richardson joined us. Brandon, how the hell are you? Alan, how the hell are you?
Well, I can't believe Brandon's back. Like, he's like the original co-host.
This is OG returns.
Yeah, what the hell, man? Where you been? Did you just like bury yourself for the last 3 years, 2 years?
I was in quarantine before quarantine was cool.
You saw ahead. You saw what was coming down the road.
Yeah, I got a bunker. I've got construction signs around me just to ward people off. And
I mean, with that Jesus haircut, you've always been a bit of a visionary.
Correct.
For
Yes.
those that are listening, he's got the long brown locks down past the shoulders with a bit of curl at the end.
Almost to my nipples. I'll cut it when it gets to my nipples, and then that's
So
it.
you might as well let it keep going
This
down
point.
to the butt. Just grow it out.
Yeah, just go, dude.
I could.
See how
But then
long
I
you
have-
can get it.
Then I have to like fill out divorce papers and such because, well, I'd let her fill them out, but she'd leave me.
Might be worth it. You never know. You don't
The
know
hair.
until you try it, man.
You don't know what kind of things special powers that hair is going to have once
Exactly.
it gets to the butt.
Exactly.
True. It's true.
Alan, third annual.
Third
Horror
annual
month.
horror month.
And I
Best
want to
of the
throw a
year.
little shout out here. October 2019. This is where Alan essentially joins the podcast after only 4 episodes. Brandon and Todd quit.
But they quit, but without actually quitting.
Yeah, I mean, they
No,
just
I
kind of.
did a couple at your studio, Alan. And there wasn't. Did
Yeah.
a couple there.
Then Brandon comes back as a guest.
I like guest star status better. It's like the and at the end of the movie. I'm the and now, or a with.
You're but 2 years into this thing, Alan, we're going 2 years strong. You started out with our first annual horror month, and that really kicked things off. And here we are 2 years later, we're still going. If
Dude,
you can believe that already.
It's the best time of year. Like every time you say, "Hey, we got to start recording horror month," I get super stoked.
Because admittedly, it's a bit premature. We're still in September,
Right.
but this will be released in October. So, and for those that do listen, the small fan base that we do have, and the large amounts of downloads and streams we get from Spotify, I apologize for not editing our recorded episodes. We have like 10 episodes in the can right
They're
now.
coming. They're coming.
But the
Yeah.
beauty of the film, as in contrast to something like sports or news, is we get the evergreen status. These
Right.
are podcasts that can kind of last forever. They're not topical.
Makes it
Until
easy.
I mentioned COVID. That just screwed up the evergreenness. I apologize for that.
That'll
God
be
damn
a
it. Brandon
blurb.
comes back and ruins it immediately.
Correct.
I mean, immediately
Within
ruins the
5
entire
minutes.
podcast.
within 5 minutes. I
Now I got to
screwed
go and edit the blurb in. Always been a visionary. I was before you don't hear COVID. You just hear beep before beep.
It'd be beautiful.
Alan, tell us, start us off here. Here we are. Your
Here we
favorite
are.
time of the year.
Favorite time of year, Halloween.
I say, Alan, choose it. You're getting first run, getting first dibs at our picks for Halloween month, or horror month, I should say. What you go Halloween 2018? Give us a little backstory on this.
Well, had to, because Halloween Kills, which is the sequel, is coming out. If you're listening, this month in October. So I figured as a way to kind of shoehorn it into the new one. Plus, also, it gives me an excuse to talk about one of my favorite films, the original Halloween. Like, this is just like, I just thought it fit perfectly. So we had to do it. And as far as sequels go, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's hard to make a sequel to a very beloved movie, especially 4 decades later, because I think you lose a lot of what made it special at the time. And Halloween still holds up. We did that. I think we did Halloween last year for Horror Month. It still holds up. It's fantastic. I don't like how they titled this Halloween, though. That's stupid.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't like the idea that you put the year
Yeah,
as the differentiator. Like, it shouldn't be titled Halloween. It should be titled, or if it is, it should have a subtitle.
Right. I mean, this is the third Halloween 2, because this is essentially Halloween Part 2, and this is the third Halloween Part 2 we've had in the history of this franchise. It's very confusing. You need a PhD just to understand it.
I mean, thank God you gave me that 2018, because I just went to Halloween. I'm like, oh fuck, which one do I watch? Like,
Brandon's like, I just watched them all.
I watched them all. I marathoned it last night. I've not slept, and I have an IV of coffee into my vein.
Well, Alan and I put tons and tons of preparation into our podcast. There's a bit,
Little sarcasm. You dripping with sarcasm there.
I mean, admittedly, guys, this week has been insanity, right? So it's like one of those things. So I piecemealed it. Again, I hate when I do this. And I've done it on a handful of movies that we've done reviews on, and I fucking piecemeal it like a little bitch. And you can't piecemeal shit.
No.
You got to sit down and dedicate the damn time to watch the movie. So my apologies for that. I have my notes, and I did watch it, of course, but I piecemealed it, and now I regrettably feel like I'm underprepared.
Well, especially a horror movie where pacing is so important. That's a tough one, because horror movies are different, because you really have to get in. You have to put yourself there, and you have to really kind of experience what they're trying to get across, especially a good movie.
Yeah.
So I watched it last night from like 10 p.m. I started at 10 p.m. last night. And so fortunately, I went over it all night in my dreams and thought about different angles and how to like do the jump scares differently. And so I'm well prepared, because that's all I thought about all night. So
basically what you're saying is you can do a better job than David Gordon Green did on this one.
Yes. No.
Well, let's talk about that. David Gordon Green. Okay. The only thing prior to this as a director that I had seen or was familiar with really was this movie that I loved. There's 2 of them actually that I thought were really good, but they're quite the opposite of something horror. One's called Joe, starring Nicolas Cage. This is a drama, and it's done really well. The other one, which was an offbeat comedy drama with Paul Rudd, called Prince Avalanche. And those are the only 2 that I actually think I've seen of his as a director. So I was a little bit, it didn't seem like this fit into his wheelhouse when when you go into watching a movie, and if you're at least a little bit familiar with the director or their previous work, you go, oh, that seems a little off character. Not that I'm trying to pigeonhole. I think directors can do anything if they're good, right? They can cross genres pretty easily. But knowing those 2 movies, I was like, those are not really in this wheelhouse of horror, of slasher. Let's see what this guy does. So Brandon thinks he can do better than David Gordon Green, as in directing this film. I'd like to challenge him. Let's go, Brandon. Let's do it.
Well, as I understand, they're filming a trilogy, the next two back to back. So maybe I could jump in on the epilogue or something of the very last.
You just comment on the third one. You just
Yeah,
walk on
just-
set. Get
just
your
walk
ass
on
off
set.
set, Green. I'm in
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah.
I got my Jesus
I'm friends with
locks.
Danny McBride, so I can just be like,
So that's one thing to talk about, though, is there's a lot of players involved. So we're talking
Yeah.
about David Gordon Green, who I've liked his previous films, but they don't fit into the slasher genre.
Well,
So
he
the-
did Pineapple Express too.
Oh, that's right. He did that comedy with the Rogan and those guys.
Yeah.
was that the Danny McBride connection?
So I've seen 3 of his films, I guess, that I could think of. Because
What did you think of
Prince
Pineapple?
Avalanche and Pineapple? I like it personally. I think it's funny. It's a Seth Rogen film.
Yeah. See, to me,
Shrug shoulders for those listening. Shrug. I said it's a Seth Rogen film, and then I shrugged my shoulders.
because it is what it is. I mean, Seth
it's funny.
Rogen movies can only go so they can only be so good, you know. And it's I don't know what it is about him because I don't think he's bad. I actually think he's inherently funny, but they're just not very good usually. I mean, And James Franco is only as good as Seth Rogen will let him be, essentially. That's what it feels like to me.
That's like you, Alan, on the podcast. You're only as good as Gabe lets you be, and so you're not that good, and that's my fault.
All
Well,
Gabe's
that's
fault.
my problem.
Yeah, that's your problem.
Also, you, Brandon, you're only as good as I let you be, and so my talent level and skill levels here, and I'm trying to keep you both down with me, right? So I don't want to see anyone surpass me. I want to see everyone below or at my level. I don't want to see anyone above me, so I hold you down.
We strive
intentionally.
We strive for mediocrity.
Oh yeah, your trajectory is far surpassing mine. I just grab you like freaking Michael Myers in the staircase and pull you back down.
Exactly.
I'm not letting
Yes.
you get above that shit.
Like
That's why we have 21 subscribers. Or what? If Alan was let go for his full potential, we might have like 200 or 300.
Just let me go, man. You got to let me go. I'll carry
It sounds like carry us, baby, carry us. So, but a host of characters here. You got Danny McBride as a writer, producer. Of course, David Gordon Green is director, writer. Jamie Lee Curtis reprises her role.
And executive produces.
And executive produces, along with John Carpenter. So now you have the blessing of the Godfather.
Yeah.
And
I was
how-
surprised to see that.
That's a huge endorsement, I think, right? Because I think he kind of fell away after, was it 2, Alan? Or just after the first one?
yeah, he didn't want to do 2, and they kind of forced him. And so he didn't direct it, but he wrote it.
He wrote it, and he also probably produced it, right?
Yeah. And then he produced 3, but he wanted to go in the direction where we're done telling the Michael Myers story. Now we're going to do an anthology, and every Halloween we'll do a new film that has something to do with Halloween, but not Michael Myers.
Right.
But the problem is they didn't market it. They didn't tell people when they were going into the movie that Michael Myers is not in this movie.
So what do we think about that, though? Because I think conceptually, that's ahead of its time.
Love it. I love that idea.
The concept is, every Halloween, we're going to make a new movie with new characters. It's going to sit in the franchise, but like you said, it's anthology series, and we're not going to follow the same guy like Nightmare on Elm Street does with Krueger or Friday the 13th does with Jason. We're going to make new characters every year.
Right. Because Halloween 3 is actually, if you don't look at it as a Halloween movie, it's pretty solid. Like it's not bad at all. It's
Wow, you're so nice. That is a shit movie.
I like it. I don't think it's that bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. There's actually some Easter eggs. There's a nod to Halloween 3 in this one, which is pretty cool. With the
You'll have to divulge those to us, but I didn't love Halloween 3, but I love that concept. I think it's ahead of its time, especially in the early 80s, where you're like you look at now with the proliferation of how people distribute, right? We got streaming everywhere. So you have like American Horror Story, and I'm just using that as an example, but like they're all anthologies now. Like they do one season of it, and then they do the same concept, but in a different place, in a different, monster.
Right.
You know, so I think conceptually he was ahead of his time in that regard.
It's a cool idea. I
Yeah, it is a
really
cool
like
idea.
that idea. Yeah, it's fun.
And so I was surprised that not surprised, but he endorses this one, Halloween 2018, and is executive producer on it. It looks like he got a writing credit.
Yeah,
beyond the characters, just I don't know.
Well, and I know he did the music too. He contributed music for this too. So, but I really think the EP credit, I think, is a legacy credit more than anything. But he did give his blessing to this one, which is because he didn't like the idea of Halloween 2. He introduced the idea that Michael and Laurie Strode are brother and sister. And he never liked that idea. He said he just had writer's block. It was late and he had to come up with an idea, and he just kind of just spewed it on the paper and didn't like it. So I think he likes that they retconned it and just made Michael Myers just a crazy person.
Yeah. Brandon, got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
You want to chime in here?
Love to.
Okay. Here we go. Question 1. Have you seen Halloween, the original?
Yes.
Okay. How many of these sequels have you seen?
None.
Can you think of any? None? Okay.
Oh, no.
So,
I lied. I saw the H20 or whatever that one was.
the one with
H2O.
Busta Rhymes? That's with Busta Rhymes, right?
No, the Busta Rhymes is the sequel to H2O.
Oh, that's right. That's the one I have.
It's
The
awful.
one with Busta Rhymes is horrific.
It is like Busta Rhymes saves the day by using kung fu on Michael Myers. That's the climax. That's how awful it is.
So good, so bad it's good.
Exactly. So stupid. So, Brandon, you've seen none of the other ones other than H2O.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I barely remember. I know I saw it, and I remember some scenes like there was pulling up a car and like outside of an airport or something. I don't know.
It's like I remember a guy in a
Yeah, I
mask
remember a
and
guy
then a
with a
knife.
thing. It definitely was not impactful in my life. I don't even know why the hell I watched it, but I have seen the original Halloween a couple of times.
And what is your just kind of go as we go into the review? What is your opinion of Halloween? And I know it's everyone
Which
like
one?
horror, the first one.
Okay.
Horror fans love it, obviously, but as someone who is that's the only one you've seen. What's your connection and what's your opinion of it?
Just because sequels usually suck, I just kind of never had a desire to see the rest of them.
Unless they have Doc Brown, I'm not going to watch their sequel.
Correct. You're absolutely correct, sir. But I just kind of liked how, in a really weird way, this is a weird word to say, but it was kind of an innocent film in a you know what I mean? It's just kind of, you just don't know what to expect with this person that has seemingly no motivation other than just to be evil. And
Right.
you kind of, that's hard to run away from. And so
It's simple.
it's simple. And I like that simplicity of it. And I do like it better than like the Friday the 13th or the Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street, I thought it was kind of a dumb premise, to be honest. I think,
Oh my gosh! Get off the
Gabe-
podcast.
You and Gabe are gonna throw
Get the
fists.
fuck off the podcast. Why did I invite you back for?
all right, we'll go.
I'm not even gonna. I'm
I
not
like the
even gonna
real.
respond to that, because then we're gonna go 40 extra minutes into Nightmare
Yeah.
on Elm Street, and we're gonna miss the entire Halloween podcast, and we'll have to redo it. So just continue with your statement before.
That's the one where
myself.
Johnny Depp turns into a giant volcano of blood, right? The original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Classic.
Yeah, he
Classic.
gets sucked into the bed, right? And then it.
Yeah, and
You
just
can't tell me
gushing,
that is not a
gushing.
kick-ass scene.
No, I love the scene.
Okay, then
I love
keep
the
going.
scene.
Don't bring Nightmare on Elm Street back into your lips ever. on
Copy
this
that.
podcast.
I do like when Johnny Depp gets it, though. That was pretty funny. I have to say, though, the 2018 Halloween, I like the kills so much better in this one.
They're so good.
We'll
so
get into
fun.
it, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, what
I-
was different about them? That's what I want you to explain to me then.
You know
What
what's
made
weird?
what made these so good versus maybe, are you comparing it to the original?
Yeah,
Or
so
some-
original
okay.
versus the 2018. I like the 2018 better, to be honest.
Wow.
I really did. I mean,
Say
I don't know
what?
what it feels like. We got to hang out with Michael more often in a weird way. Like we kind of got to be kind of with him, and he was,
You are
I feel like
definitely
more human.
you are definitely the first person to die if Michael Myers comes into a group
Yeah,
of
for
people.
sure.
Because
I'm
you're
gonna
like,
give-
we got to hang out with Michael. And
yeah, I'm gonna give him a hug.
you're
It's
definitely
really
the first to die.
weird.
You're the
Like-
kid on
like-
the gate that kisses the girl and then runs through the gate and then gets destroyed.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's right through
Yeah,
the
through the neck.
I
That's
didn't-
you right now. You're you
I don't know. It was
you want to bear hug Michael Myers, is what you're saying.
well, that whole scene at the beginning was so interesting. Like with when he's in the block outside and all of that. I didn't know quite what to make of it when I was watching it in real time, but then kind of going back and like, okay, I kind of understand that, but like it just, I never really. Do you see him without his mask on in any other movies? I'm assuming no.
I mean, it's very brief. Like,
Okay.
so in the first one, he takes his mask off and you get to see him a little bit, but it's very brief. And then I think is it 5? The mask comes off, but you don't even really get to see his face. And then
Well,
obviously Rob Zombie, which the less said about Rob Zombie's versions of this, then the better, because you do get to see him a lot with his mask off in both of those.
That's
See,
gonna
I
be
like-
easy because I haven't seen those ones.
And he talks. He talks in the second Rob Zombie one.
That's what
Okay,
they were
so the-
mocking in this one. Talk to me,
28
Michael.
definitely-
Talk to me. They were actually poking fun at Rob Zombie. I
Yeah,
think.
I hope so, because man, Rob Zombie just shit all over the legacy of Halloween.
Yeah, 2018 it seemed to, because I liked that we saw a little bit of his face, but never saw the full thing, or was out of focus, or yeah, I kind of that teased that small bit of humanity that might be in him still, but I don't know.
Right. Well, I like it because it brings it back to the idea it's this guy is mentally unstable.
Yeah,
And I like it because it's very difficult to make a sequel to a beloved film and also be able to have the sequel stand on its own feet. Like this is
Yeah.
its own thing, but there is enough fan service for people like me who are looking for that kind of stuff without going overboard. Like you look at the Force Awakens, that was just basically a remake of Star Wars, you know?
yeah.
And
Almost plot for plot.
right. They went way too far with that. Whereas this one, I think they do a really good job of it's a Halloween movie and they know what made the first one great and they build on that, but they also aren't afraid to go off and do their own thing at times. And to me, that's what makes it such a special sequel. I hope they can follow it up on the new ones. It's just hard to do it, man. Like it's so hard to do.
Are they finally put him down at the end of the second or the third one?
We'll see, man. I mean,
I
it
don't
depends
know.
how much money it makes.
I mean, do you guys put a spoiler alert on the beginning of these things as far as like?
I would
can we talk
definitely
about
say go watch the movie
Okay,
because we're definitely going to spoil the shit out of it.
all right.
Yeah.
Because
So
I
let's
mean,
start. Let's start here, though.
Yeah.
Let's start with this. Let me ask you. We're not going to walk through piece by piece. We'll talk about scenes in the story and how the narrative unfolds, but we're not going to break down every single plot section of it. We've kind of decided over the last little while on how to do this. Before we were actually going through almost every scene and dissecting it. We're going to not go that direction as much as we are as the overall tone of the film, and then specific scenes that actually, speak to what we're talking about. But that first scene you're speaking to, when he goes to the psych ward, there's this journalist arrives. Who the hell's this journalist?
I like that they made him podcasters,
Right.
and I like that they made him snooty British podcasters because it just goes to show like they are in so far over their head.
It just
And
goes to show we're spot on because our intro is British.
That's true. That's a good point. But to me, it's like these guys, they want to make these prestigious true crime podcasts that are super popular now, but they just have no idea the shit show that they're getting into.
And how
How
the
did he
hell did they
get-
get that mask?
That's
Yeah,
what
I
I
mean-
wanted to say.
That's quite the convenient plot point right there. He borrowed it from his friend at the Attorney General's office. Yeah, I'm sure they're doing that. Like,
Wait,
that's
did they note? I didn't even hear that. They said
yeah,
that?
Yeah, they said
I-
that.
I borrowed something from my friend at the Attorney General's office.
But yeah, I
just-
tell you what, the moment was probably one of my favorite moments, even not as a huge fan. when he's pulling out the mask out of the trunk, just that, whew, that was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. I'm like, okay, I'm on board.
I loved how they did the intro, because it would have been easy to do just kind of like by the numbers what they did in the original, but
Sure.
they have these new characters, these new situations. I like that they have him outside in this weird courtyard with harsh light.
Yeah.
And it's really bright, different. Like so bright that it's almost uncomfortable. It's almost just the opposite of what happened in the original, where he was just bathed in darkness and in the wide shots, and you didn't know where he was at, and you couldn't see where he was in the frame. Like, I like that they went the exact opposite. I love this intro and how it hard cuts into the song, like the theme song.
Oh yeah, that was
like yes, let's go. Fuck yeah, let's go, man. I was so pumped. I was so excited.
I just got a hot take. I love it.
Dude. Well, the other thing too was also just, I mean, that theme kind of seemed like throughout, he was just walking around like he didn't give a fuck if he got caught or not. I mean, that was like, that's kind of what I like. What I meant was like, I connected with him, but like I kind of followed him a little bit better, because he wasn't always just like in the shadows all the time. He's just like willy-nilly walking through some lady's house. Hi, and just
right.
Just, there was no effort to conceal himself like whatsoever. And I thought that was pretty badass.
I like that they did that, because in the original, like when you're introducing a character like this, you have to have him in the shadows. Like you have to have, and I loved how they did the wide shots, like I said, and you're kind of looking everywhere to see where he's at, because he's always hidden in the frame somewhere. But you can't do that in a sequel, because we already know who this guy is. Mm-hmm. Like you can't continue to do that. So I agree, and I like that that long tracking shot, not tracking shot, but that long steady cam shot where you're following him into these different houses and he's killing people, and like that was sweet. That was straight out of Halloween 2, but this is done much better.
So let's move into Laurie Strode. Okay, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. So in this film, she has a form of post-traumatic stress from the events of the night 40 years earlier. And she's lived with it for 40 years, and she's basically she's lived her entire life preparing to kill this dude. She's crazy. I think she's batshit crazy. I mean, I get the post-traumatic stress. Don't get me wrong. I understand she went through a pretty traumatic event, but all her dedication has been, when he gets out, I'm going to kill him. Right? So she's preparing for the apocalypse. Right? If you go to her house, it's like guns everywhere, safe rooms.
It's like Montana.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing, Gabe. She was right. So that's the thing. Like that's my question. What's the context of this movie? We always talk about how horror has an overall context and subtext. What's the subtext of this one?
You tell me.
I have no idea. I don't know. And I don't really care that I don't know. Usually I like to dissect it, but I don't really care that I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the subtext, but you think, as we're all parents here, you think about, what you would do to protect your child and what's too far and what's not far enough. And Judy Grove's kind of a throwaway character. I hope she gets a little bit more meat in the next one, but
so she's Laurie's daughter, and the entire time the concept behind the story and the characters is that Laurie has prepped her daughter for this day as well. She's made her become a dead-eye shooter. She's made her become, whatever it is to take out this killer. So when she was 12, because the state saw Laurie unfit to tend to her daughter, they removed her from the house, right? Because Laurie's batshit crazy. So yeah, her character doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Like, there's not a lot of meat there. I agree. Like, I was trying to figure out what that character was. I identify. I think you see more with the character of the granddaughter.
Yeah.
Where there's sympathy towards the grandmother, and then also, the granddaughter's storyline. Like I can follow her character a little bit more. But I still didn't understand. What I want to know, Alan, is this. Okay. Tell me what is Michael Myers' motivation?
That's they I think they kind of talk about it. His new doctor kind of talks about it or alludes to it. That is the one thing that I was having a hard time with as well. Because why does he care to come after Laurie again? Like, to me, why? And I think the doctor kind of alluded to it. And I think the point is she's just kind of unfinished business.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I was figuring.
Yeah, like it almost feels like, because if you're a serial killer, you get some sort of gratification with killing people. And it almost seems like he just didn't get that satisfying feeling. That's the way I interpreted it.
Also, why did Laurie stay in Haddonfield area? If she knew that Michael Myers was in prison nearby,
she prepared the trap. I mean, that was the whole thing.
Her whole motivation. I know, but if you were move, he'll never find you.
He doesn't walk very fast, and I don't think he can get on a plane.
He'd have a hard time getting through security checks on the airport.
Here's one thing, and I think this might help answer the question. Here's one thing I really like.
I'm being pragmatic and realistic, and I get that it's a movie, but I like to bring those questions up.
They kind of reversed roles in this. They reversed Laurie and Michael's role. And like, to me, because Laurie's become kind of a monster herself.
Yeah.
And she's become obsessed. Like, Michael's obsession is killing. And now Laurie's obsession is killing. And so I like how they kind of did that. And I think that's her obsession because, you know, she mentioned that she prayed every day that he would escape so she could kill him. And I think that's her whole motivation.
Yeah, I was going to say it's almost the reverse of what was said. Not even as much. I mean, I think it's still there that he has unfinished business, but I actually think it's the reverse. She has unfinished business.
Agreed.
She wants that to end even more so than he does in some sense.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I think you're right. I think there's a reversal of roles there. But it was hard. The one thing, a lot of cool kills, right? What's the best kill? What's the one that stood out best for you, Brian?
Cop with a flashlight in the head. I'm sorry, that was awesome. Like, just like this little weird nightlight that he made himself out of the cop's head. That was awesome. I didn't see the kill, but I love the reveal of it.
I love how he sets these bodies up. He likes to fuck with people.
Jesus.
That was the other thing. And this one, there was more. It was what's
like
the word
aftermath.
I'm looking for? Yeah, it was like
he
like you said, he plays with the kills. That was kind of a lot of time as a horror fan, you're so focused on the kill. You know, it's become a thing. Oh, how was the kill? What was the first kill? What was the kill like? What's interesting that I found cool about this one was the play after the kill.
Right.
Like
right.
You don't see that a lot, right? There's not a lot of play. Once the kill happens, it's over. But this time he's dressing people up. He's, positioning them in certain ways. It's like, oh, damn, he's even more twisted than I thought, because he's that one where he puts the sheets over and has the ghost eyes through with the girl, the teenage girl up in the room. Like, he's the Halloween pumpkins in the fish tank. Like, he's playing with his kills.
It's fun. It's so much fun. And I like
kid.
That was the thing. So you talk about best kills, I think, is the smashing of the head.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
That was awesome. But my favorite kill is the kid, because first of all, it's a nod to Annie's death in the first one, because it's exactly the same kill essentially. And second of all, that's how I knew that this movie is going to be pretty tough. That's how I knew this is a hardcore version. This isn't like H2O was watered down so much. And it was
that's what my problem with it. Yeah, I was like,
it just felt like Dawson's Creek with a side plot of a freaking serial killer. Like, it was, I hated H2O, but that's when I knew that this one was going to be more brutal, because they never kill the kid. And if they do kill a kid in a horror movie, you don't see them kill the kid.
No,
but this was that was a violent murder of a child on screen.
Yeah. I thought he was going to kill that baby for a second too. I was like,
yeah, right. Because
that hesitation, I was like, oh, he's gonna fucking turn around and go take care of it.
Now you don't know because all bets are off. They murdered
Yeah.
a child on screen very brutally. So now there's a baby. Is he going to kill the baby? Like, it made it that much more effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great kill. The one I really enjoyed for whatever reason is just before that with the mother of that in that house. I like that he walks in. It's and you had alluded to this earlier, Brandon, which is like he just walks in some house. The lady's on the phone. She goes off screen behind the door. We can't see her. There's a tussle. A chair flies over. She's dead. But just the fact that that to me is so dark and sinister. The idea that he can just enter a home, right? And just go in, take care of business for no reason. Like there's no motivation. Kill her and then keep moving forward. And we don't even, and what's cool, and maybe not be the best death in the movie, but it's a cool one. And we never even see it.
Right.
Like we don't even see it. And that to me, in that scene, at least, makes it creepier.
Well, and here's my why I like this movie better than the other ones. I won't mention it because I don't want to get 3 strikes you're out, kicked off the podcast. But because it is based in reality, makes it scarier to me personally. Like the supernatural stuff, doesn't really do it for me.
Here, I'm not going to go off on it. So
I know, but I mean that's why I like it because it could actually happen.
You're fucking alluding to it right now.
I'm alluding to it, but I didn't mention it by name.
Dude, you're towing that line.
I'm a bitch. I'm a
towing a hard line here.
But I do like the basis in reality, like how this could potentially actually really happen. It is an actual potential
other than
danger.
he gets what about the fact that he gets shot 5 times and once in the face and he still keeps moving? What is he?
He gets shot in the face and keep moving.
He did too.
At the end of the
movie,
you can keep moving. You can get shot in the face
and shot in here and then in the face 3 times and you just keep moving like you never got hurt.
When he got hit by a car in this one too.
Like he just keeps moving.
But remember, he
so there has to be. This is the question. There has to be
something
supernatural element.
All right.
But here's the thing. At the end of the first one, he got shot 6 times by Loomis and fell off the balcony.
Yeah.
And then lived.
Yep. So but
those don't matter now because those are retconned.
No, that's Halloween 1. This is the direct sequel.
Oh,
so this one is the direct sequel to that one. Is how they're putting it in the canon. Right, Alan?
Yeah.
Well, he just, he went to
I'm
therapy.
Just saying
and
this is a good question for Alan that I want him to answer, which is, what's the power of the boogeyman? What's the shape do? Is because Brandon's point here, his argument is that, it's not based, everything's based in the real world. But then how do we explain this power of Myers, this power of Michael Myers, that he can continue to take people out after being shot 14 times?
Don't think about it. Don't think about it. That's my answer.
He's Tupac, gets shot 9 times. He's 50 Cent, gets shot 9 times, still lives.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't think about it. You're thinking about it. Don't think about it.
He's the 50 Cent of horror monsters. I get it.
What is the shape thing? Explain the shape thing to me.
So that's how he was credited. That's how Nick Castle, who played him in the first one and in this one, that's what they didn't call him Michael Myers in the credits. They called him the shape because he was, and I love that because in that first one, he's just a shape in the darkness somewhere. Yeah. And you can barely make out his figure. And that's one thing. Speaking of kind of a featureless shadow of a person, that's what I liked about the mask in the first one. And I don't want to say I had a problem with this mask. Like, I understand the idea that if a mask is that old, it's going to get rotten and it's going to start to fall apart. But you can't have features. You just can't, like, what made it so scary in the first one is it was just a white blank slate.
Shatner.
Yeah, it was a William Shatner mask painted white. That was it. And this one is, it's too much. There's too many characteristics on it. And I understand, like, I get why they do it, but to me, that's what made it so scary in the first one.
I'm looking up the old mask.
I agree. Yeah, too many features, indentations, cheekbones, like there's too much definition going on.
Exactly. And I get why they do it, but it's not right. And I also think that we understand Michael Myers a little bit better in this one going into this movie, because in the first one, if you've never seen it before and you know nothing about Michael Myers, he is like you don't know anything about him. And so this one, we've lived with him for 40 years. He's more of a character. He's more of a well-known name. Like, I understand why they don't make him as mysterious as they did in the first, just because we're way more familiar with him.
Right.
Yeah.
What do we think about the granddaughter? What's her role in this whole story? Does she play one? Is it important? Because we ended up spending a lot of time in her POV, right? If you watch the movie, you're like, oh, we're traversing through this character's storyline. She's got a boyfriend. She's a high schooler. She's important to her grandma, like, does it matter? Is she relevant in the story of this movie?
I wonder if the long cut at some point they had something more besides just a bridging element between grandmother and her mother. I mean, trying to repair that relationship. But no, I mean, I thought she was kind of being laid out as a kill, to be honest.
Yeah, it felt a little bit. It was like, we got to throw in a young, cute girl because Strode is 65 years old now.
Dude, teens gotta die. That's what Halloween movies are about.
But I'm saying, and they do, which is cool.
Right. And that's why she's in the movie, though, I think, because her friends have to die.
Her friends have to die. So that's a good attachment to it. That makes sense. Like, she may not meet the demise, but if you watch it, her friends are getting taken out, and that's how we follow it, which also plays a little homage characteristically back to Laurie Strode herself, who all her friends die, right, at the hands of this mass murderer, serial killer monster. And now her granddaughter, also all her friends die at the hands of the same person. Maybe that's the lead up into these sequels, is that now we can start to project her story a little more later on.
Here's one thing that really bugged me about her character, though. What do you like, Brandon? What do you call your like, if you're going to talk to your grandma, what would you call her? Grandma. Gabe, how about you?
Absolutely, grandma. I hated grandmother. I already know.
Grandmother? Like what? Like
grandmother?
Did you talk to grandmother? It took me out. It was so annoying. I don't understand. And it shouldn't have been as annoying as it was to me, but it took me out of the movie every single time.
No,
there was grandmother.
Absolutely. If you're addressing a grandparent, in this case, I'll just say that. But it's like you're saying grandma, you're saying Mimi, you're saying Pat. What it's a Nana. It's a different. It's not grandmother.
No.
Nobody in 2021 addresses someone grandmother.
This isn't the royal family. Like, Laurie Strode is living on a freaking in the middle of nowhere shooting dummies, like, she's not insisting that she's referred to as grandmother. Right. Like, she's like a nana or a grandma, or it's stupid.
Yes.
And I just want to throw out, I think Judy Greer is miscast.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Yeah.
Like, they had a perfect person who should have played. So Danielle Harris, who played the little girl who he chased in part 4 and 5, she was also in Rob Zombies as an adult. And so, like, she's like Halloween franchise royalty, and she's the perfect age. She's got black hair. She's much more fitting. She should have played the mom. There's no question about it. Judy Greer.
I agree, but more on the lines of the fact that Judy Greer, to me, is too well known across the board. Like, you recognize her face in a lot of other things. So even if you're not familiar with her name, you look at her face and go, she's in Jurassic World. Oh, she's in this. Oh, she does this show. Right. She was in this. She's too recognizable. And it feels like Laurie Strode's daughter needs to be someone we're not as familiar with as a viewer.
Good point. Very good point.
Well, they did that with the granddaughter, because I've never seen her in anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Seems like. And, I think that was a good move. It was pretty sad to see Will Patton bite the dust, though.
Yeah, he was good.
I hadn't seen him in anything for a while, so it was nice to see him. I've always liked him on screen. I've always liked. He's just a great.
Camera loves him. Camera loves him.
And his deliveries are so great.
What did you guys think about the granddaughter's friends?
I'm glad they died.
Every one of them, dude. Like,
one of them.
Except the blonde one, Vicky, I think her name is.
Is that the babysitter?
Yeah, the babysitter. I actually I liked her character more after her interaction with the kid that she was babysitting.
Yeah, the kid was funny.
Dude, we got to talk about that kid.
We got to talk about the scene with the kid where he goes to bed. He comes running down and tells him he saw a shape or a figure in the closet or upstairs in the hallway. comes running down. She goes up to check. Nothing's there. Michael Myers pops out of the closet. The kid goes running down the stairs and tells the other teenager, don't go up there. Don't go up there. You're going to get killed.
Well,
I love just the obviousness of his. Don't go. He runs out of the house like, don't go up there. You're going to get killed. He's the smartest one of everybody.
He is the best character in the whole movie.
Oh, 100%.
Like, and
So
this
witty.
is where it's good to have comedy writers writing in a horror movie, because the comic break is actually really good. Like, it's done really well and it's really funny.
Yeah, that scene's hilarious. That kid's great. Now, here's that you bring up something interesting, which is the comedy writing. And this is where does it go too far? And because and what I mean is, like, everything with the teenagers is a joke. Like, everything that they say is somewhat funny. Like, everything's a one-liner, everything's real set up with that punchline to be funny in all the dialogue. Like, if you look at a set like the original Halloween, when the teenagers talk, not everything's funny. There's a normal conversation. And then here, like, the kid's funny, the boyfriend says things that are funny. Everyone's trying to be a comedian.
Right.
Do we like that setup?
What do you think?
That's very contemporary.
It
I think
fits
that's
the
what
mold.
kids do nowadays. And that's where the Danny McBride's coming in, I think. I think that's where he kind of starts to.
Because I actually thought about it. I'm not like against it. I just thought, wow, everything's really too comedically timed. Like, everything in conversation is too comedically timed amongst these kids.
I could have done without the his name's Oscar. He's the one that guy. I could have done without him.
God, so
Like, he was a throwaway character just for an extra kill, which fine, I get that. You need those.
I did think his scene with the granddaughter, and I forget her name, her character's name.
Vicky. No,
Vicky.
just kidding.
No.
Allison.
It's,
Allison.
Yeah.
I think with where he tries to kiss her was kind of funny. Like, him trying to go in and close the deal. And she's like, what are you doing? You know? And he's like, and that was kind of funny. And then you kind of wanted him to die. And so it worked out. Like, that was a good setup and then a good delivery, right? The setup is, now you want him to die. He's a doucher. And he does. What about the boyfriend?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, what about him? What about Allison's boyfriend? That dude was a doucher.
Dude,
Yeah.
he was a doucher from the very first scene he was in. Did he die?
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah, because he wasn't he the one that got stuck up on the.
No,
No, that was
the
Dave.
other dude.
That was
that was
Dave.
that was the
Oh,
other.
That was the guy that got the tattoo.
Yeah, that was the other boyfriend. I'm talking about
who's-
Allison's, who dressed up as Bonnie in Bonnie and Clyde. He was the
no, he
girl.
didn't die.
And he didn't die.
He was
He's
getting a hand
died.
job back at the dance because
Yeah,
she
exactly.
figured, like, she's gone. I'm just gonna get me an HJ, So
Yeah.
He's dying in the next one, I guarantee it.
100%.
I mean, that's why they kept him. But here's the thing, like, for you asked if it's too funny. I would rather it be funny like that and clever, the dialogue clever. Whereas here's I think this is a weakness in the original, is that the teenagers, like, the interactions between the teenagers was obnoxious. They were all very obnoxious, and it could have used more comedic timing. It could have used some funny stuff. Like, it was like John Carpenter's thinking, well, this is how teenagers talk. And he had no idea how they talk. And so it was really obnoxious. But in this one, they're obnoxious, but at least it's funny. At least I'm not uncomfortably cringing when they speak.
It's passable.
Yeah.
It's also a generational thing. I think we're hitting on something. You're looking at the late 70s versus the late 2010s. And there's a different vibe culturally, generationally, how people respond to each other, how we talk to each other,
Yeah.
So I think, but it just felt like everything, it sometimes, and it's, I don't hate it, but it's, if things are always so perfect, like there's always one-liners. Like, I get it. In high school, you wanted to be, you want to be the funny guy. You want to throw that one-liner out. You want to get everyone laughing. I get it, but they don't always land.
I was like, you never shoot 100%. You're usually
That's all.
about 80.
That's, or like 40. Let's be honest.
I was way higher than that.
You were
I'm
probably
fucking funny,
29%.
So we know Gabe was not the funny guy in his school.
Hey,
He
I
tried
was
to be.
nominated. Okay. Funny class clown. Didn't win it. Nominated in 5 categories. Okay. Nominated in 5 categories. Lost every one.
Yikes. Yikes.
You know what I won for of all the goddamn things, which doesn't make any fucking sense? The next James Bond. Like, do they know me, or did they just run out of characters? I'm like, well, I'll just throw this dipshit in there.
If they could Rick and Morty space time you into the future, they'd be like,
What
can
the
Canada
fuck?
Dry
Yeah.
with a Jesus haircut?
Yeah. With the extra,
James
30
Bond.
quarantine pounds hanging around. Yeah. I'll
More like
fucking James
Jimmy
Bond it
Bond.
up.
Jimmy Bond. I like
I wonder if I
that.
could find that and show
Jimbo Bond.
Jimbo Bond.
Jimbo Bond. Right?
Oh yeah, another throwaway character, Dad. Like,
Again, he was funny. I liked him.
But he was funny.
He got
And
he
it-
got
and it
peanut
did
butter on his
fit.
penis.
Into a typical dad trying to be cool with his daughter. That's me.
Yeah.
My daughter couldn't think I'm any less cool. I try to make jokes. I'm like, you don't even know how cool your dad is. And she's and she don't have it. She's 13 now, right? So she's in 8th grade. Like anything I do or say, not funny at
No.
all.
No, not even a
So-
little. Yeah.
Not even a little bit. That attitude that she has back to him, like, hey, Dad, you need to stop talking. That she says in the kitchen to her dad, like, oh, I was like, oh, that's my daughter.
Yeah, totally.
Like me. I
Totally.
get it. I mean, I like that they killed him. Don't get me wrong. I didn't want him to live. Let's be honest here.
Well,
But,
dude, how did he get peanut butter on his penis?
I don't
Because
think he
he
got
was
it in his
wearing
penis.
he was wearing pants.
it sounds overtly intentional. I mean,
He went
I'm gonna-
into he got it into the zone, like it was within the perimeter of the penis
Okay, so he just had to go clean the peanut butter off his penis.
area,
It was just a ploy to get his wife to help him do something that he needed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
or the family dog.
Hey,
Movie
Rex, come on over. Clean this up for me.
I did like the dad though. I thought it was funny. I like it was
No,
enjoyable.
he was. And we're glad he died. Are we not glad that anybody died? Is there someone in the movie that we wish wouldn't have been killed by the
Will
boogeyman?
Patton, whatever his character name was,
He was was he the sheriff or the cop?
the sheriff. Yeah,
He did that, but you know what? I like that because he other than the kid, Julian, I think was the character's name, the kid. Other than Julian, Will Patton, I think, was the second most likable character in the whole movie.
yeah.
So I like that because Michael Myers didn't kill Will Patton, it was the doctor.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that really cemented home that he is very unlikable. Because if you're killing Will Patton, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Don't you ever kill Will Patton?
Don't kill Will Patton.
Well, he got his karma quite quickly after that.
Yeah, he
that
did.
wince that he gave right before that shoe came down on his face.
Dude, that's like-
He's like, this is gonna suck.
Amazing.
What did you think about Dr. Sartain, who is essentially, in some essence, Loomis's understudy? Did we like that character? Did we care about that doctor at all? Alan, what did you feel about Sartain?
Well, I mean, I thought they were going to do the Force Awakens thing where it's like, oh, great. Now we have to have a new Loomis character. Like we had to have a new Obi-Wan character.
And she even says it. Laurie even says, you're the new Loomis.
I know. And I'm like, God damn it. Like we don't have to fall. But then they twisted it up and they made him a bad guy, which I really enjoyed because they're playing with your expectations and they're playing with the expectations of people who are used to remakes and soft reboots and movies being having sequels decades later. Like they're playing on our expectations as fans and as cinemas.
There were two things running through my mind in that scene. First off, they hit Michael Myers with the car, right? They get out and the doctor's like, he's dead. And I'm like, of all the things, you hit him at going 15 miles an hour, you killed him with a car. So immediately I was like, this can't be how he really, they kind of tricked me, admittedly, because then what they did with the mask was really cool, where he takes the mask off Michael, Dr. Sartain, and puts it on his own face. And for a minute, I thought, oh, as off as this might be, this is going to be, I know it sounds crazy. I actually thought this for a split second, the end of Michael Myers, in a sense that he's going to pass on whatever demon he was dealing with to this new character. And that's going to, because it's a whole new thing, right? With the 40 years later, it's going to be, the mask is it's like Jim Carrey in The Mask. You put the mask on, you become the thing. And I thought, oh, that could actually be kind of cool, only because Michael Myers starts to get so old in a sense, right? I'm not bored of him. I love his character. This is how they're going to pass the torch, right? Mm-hmm. And then they didn't do that, which I was like, oh, that's even better. They kind of tricked me down that path and then pulled me back to the reality of what Michael Myers is. So I like that whole concept. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, that was fun. I like that they did that.
Using the doctor to do it is what I mean. Like using the doctor. And so his character was kind of cool in that sense.
I did miss Loomis. I'm glad they didn't recast him because no one can fill Donald Pleasant's shoes. But I missed Loomis. Loomis as a character is hilarious.
Alan, let me ask you this. What if they would have?
I'd be so pissed.
And then they had done CGI to create Loomis's face over.
They were trying to. So the original idea for this movie is they were going to show the end of Halloween 1, but they were going to reshoot it. And so they were going to try to get Loomis digitally, do the Star Wars thing, to bring that up again, and do that thing, do the deep fake or whatever you call those things. They were going to try and do that. But then thankfully they realized that's a terrible idea and we're not going to do that.
Yeah, if they had tried to recreate CGI Malcolm McDowell, because he's going to play
Donald Pleasance.
Donald Pleasance, thank you. If they had tried to recreate him as Loomis with CGI, like a Carrie Fisher thing, can you imagine?
Well, dude,
nobody could do his voice. Nobody can.
Well, they did do his voice in this though. They were playing an old tape of Loomis speaking.
Oh, but that's his voice though. Like no one can.
It wasn't his voice.
Like no one can. It was not his voice.
No, because this is all dialogue that was not in the first one. So this is like
someone doing an
impression. But to your point,
AI, Brandon, we live in 2021. Machine learning. You put a voice sample of him in there, boom, machine learns it, spits it out.
I hate this.
Brandon, to your point, it didn't sound like him, and it took me out of the movie. I wasn't mad because I still got to hear Loomis, but it wasn't stellar.
Well, not being a Donald Pleasance voice aficionado, it sounded okay to me.
I know him from he was in tons of movies. Yeah. My favorite movie of his was The Fantastic Voyage.
The only movies I've ever seen him in are the Halloween movies.
You never seen him in any other?
I know.
Escape from Witch Mountain, like the original Escape from Witch Mountain.
Like he was in a ton of shit too, but Halloween movies. I only know him as Dr. Loomis, and that's it.
He's in my favorite old school movie of all time. I believe he is, if I remember correctly, called The Great Escape.
Oh yeah, he's definitely in that. I've seen that.
So that's a whole nother genre. The Great Escape is like, it's like 1960s. Like that's a family film. My kids could watch it with me. They can't watch this one, at least not yet. They're not old enough. No. Alan, real quick, while we're on Dr. Loomis, what did you think about the Malcolm McDowell portrayal? Because isn't he Donald Loomis in the previous sequels?
Yeah. So Malcolm McDowell plays Loomis in Rob Zombie's. And that's right. In the first one, he's fine. It's fine. In the second one, it is just, again, Rob Zombie, the second one especially, but the first one a little bit, it's basically Rob Zombie taking Halloween and wiping his ass with it. It is like the most disrespectful, like unbelievably just awful portrayal of this franchise. And Loomis, especially in the second one, is just, everything that made Donald Pleasance special in that role, they just were like, fuck it. Who cares? Who cares? We don't care about these characters. We don't care about Loomis. We don't care about the legacy. We just are wiping our ass with this.
Did it taint Loomis for you? Because
it did.
Did it taint Malcolm McDowell?
Yes, it did. And it shouldn't, because Malcolm McDowell, for the role that was written for him, he does an outstanding job. But I can't look at Malcolm McDowell now without thinking that is a knockoff Loomis.
I still think A Clockwork Orange every time I see him.
I wish I could. It's ruined for me forever.
Thanks, Rob Zombie. Asshole.
Goddamn Rob Zombie, man.
More human than the human.
Should I go back and watch them? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just should I keep my palate cleansed until the other ones come out? Palate
cleansed is what it sounds like, and watch the remaining of these sequels. Alan's more of an official spokesperson for the series than I am. I don't recall those ones even that well. I'm thinking like you, Brandon. I watched them and then they just floated out of my memory.
There are very few good entries into this franchise, but I love them all. Like I even love the original Rob Zombie's original remake for what it is. Like I enjoy it for what it is.
When did that come out?
That was, I want to say like 08 or 07, something like that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I even enjoy those. But I love all the entries in this series, even though most of them suck.
And that's what we're going to get into. We're going to start reading. This is our favorite part of the podcast, Brandon. One of the favorite parts that we've now turned into a bit of a funny back and forth between Alan and myself, which is we read Google reviews of these movies. We just read a few of them. We try to find a 1-star, maybe a 5-star, something in the middle. And I read them verbatim. And what makes them funny is that most people can't write very well. So the way that they write them out is very difficult to comprehend the entirety of the review.
But also the best ones are people can't write very well and they're livid about whatever movie we're discussing. Like it's the most perfect combination you could get.
Now, do you do it doing like a Malcolm McDowell, like in person?
Man, if I had a voice acting capability, I would totally do a Donald Pleasance voice in these reviews. Maybe I can plug it into my machine learning and they can do it in a Donald Pleasance voice.
That would be amazing.
Okay, so I got to find it. Or I was not aware of this assignment, so let me just do it quick.
No assignments. I'll read them unless you find one that I have not read, and you can read one as well.
Usually he just reads them and I just react to them.
Oh, okay. I'll just
there we go.
Because Gabe, I will say, Gabe he doesn't need to have a Donald Pleasance voice. He reads it like it's beautiful.
I read them verbatim. Just keep that in mind. So
Verbatim.
this is exactly how they're written, with grammar errors, periods where they shouldn't be, commas. I pause when I'm not supposed to, based on the writing. Okay. Now, admittedly, I have horrible grammar myself. I'm not good at grammar. If you tell me where to put a comma and it should have, I'm not good at that stuff. So I'm not hating on everybody here. It's just funny.
I'll hate on them for you.
The first thing I do when I write a paper or have to write something is I hand it to my wife after it's written. And I say, do the proofread and grammar this thing up.
Gotta have an editor, man.
Good job, wife.
Okay, here we go. You guys ready for this?
Let's do it.
A lot, by the way, Alan, a lot of good ones here. So it's always a little harder to find.
I'm not surprised. I'm not. It's a good sequel.
Keeler Heath, 1 year ago. Hell yes. This is the best Halloween sequel. This is a fantastic movie, and Blumhouse does such a good job making this feel like the original. This is just so good, and I can't watch it enough. The mask looks really good. At first, I was worried because sometimes filmmakers don't get the mask right. Hence, Halloween 5. But they really nailed it this time. What do you think about that, Alan?
I agree. When they announced this movie, there were a couple things that made me really nervous about it. One, that Danny McBride was a writer on it and a producer, just because not a horror guy, you know. And two, Blumhouse was also producing it, which Blumhouse films are typically very by the numbers. Let's make a lot of money horror movies. There's
like
some good
Hallmark
ones.
films.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like it's just paint by numbers, jump scare here, and let's just get out of there and make $1 billion. And so I was a little nervous about it.
I like Blumhouse films.
Yeah, I think they're getting better. I think they're getting better for sure.
I'll tell you right now, if I could have come up with his business model, I'd have done it 20 years ago.
I know. It's like
he's like, if we do this, I'll get out. I'll get a talented artist like Jordan Peele. I'll make a movie called Get Out. We'll make it for $5 million. And his whole thing is we'll make these for $5 or $10 million, and we'll make 250 in the box office.
Yeah.
Like he squeezes down the production budget so far that they can make those movies for $5 or $10 million. And you're right. It is a bit of a structural model where you can just make a lot of money, but mostly from what I've seen, and I haven't seen all the Blumhouse related films, produced films, they're pretty good. I like them.
He does love horror. Like it's not just a guy, it's just not just some studio exec who's
Right.
Jeff wants to capitalize on it. He
There's
does.
there's a passion for the genre.
Right. But it's also very paint by numbers a lot of the time.
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. 2 years ago, Just Some Facts is the name of the reviewer.
Okay.
7 out of 10. A slasher film living up to the original. Halloween was one of the few slasher films I liked. I first liked the idea of discarding all 8 movies, not including Season of the Witch.
Okay.
There
Well,
you go, Alan.
that's
The film wasn't scary overall, but it was just a frightening seeing some. Just keep in mind verbatim. Here we go again. The film wasn't scary overall, but it was just a frightening seeing someone like Michael Myers being this bloody and killer again was nice. Guy stepped on someone's head and turned it to paste. Damn.
classic.
It takes us to the world of how Michael can be a true monster with no moral or remorse. He'll kill anything.
With no moral or remorse. But dude, that's a stereotypical Google review right there.
Yeah,
That is why we do these.
we've run into some classics, and Alan
Yeah.
has just busted up laughing. I got 2 more for you. I got Alex 1 year ago, 2 stars out of 5.
Oh, he didn't like it.
40 years on, and we have, what the filmmakers have avowed, the first direct sequel to the original classic made by John Carpenter. David Gordon Green, who started out as an indie filmmaker with films like George Washington, Undertow, and Prince Avalanche, has since dipped his creative toe into mainstream waters with fanfare like Pineapple Express, The Sitter, and Your Highness, which vary from middling to downright forgettable. So it comes as a bit of a shocker to see him being such a proponent to making this new Halloween. I was, for the most part, when the film works, which it does, and it fits and starts, it plays like an appropriate and reasonable successor. But where it fails, and it does, I almost needed some Bengay for my neck from how hard I was shaking my head. I just lost the whole review because that was an absolutely horrible throw-in of a joke. You're trying to be funny, and you just lost. It was going okay for a minute about his previous work, David Gordon Green, and all of a sudden you're throwing in Bengay jokes. Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, that was painful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I need
pretty
Bengay
rough.
now.
Yeah. For your eyes.
Oh, for my eyes, my head, my dick. I don't know. What I'm
Get
saying.
butter on your penis.
Little
It
peanut butter
numbs
and
it.
penis.
Numb my head. Put that shit on my brain. That was a horrible review. Get that shit out.
You know what you need to do? You need to reverse rot your brain back up into a complete brain, like I'd love that, by the way. Little
Yeah.
side note.
Okay. I you know what? I had that written down. I do want to mention this real quick.
Yeah, go in.
So
Go
cool.
in.
Inflating the pumpkin is I love because it's a cool concept, and also it's kind of a dig at Rob Zombie and all the other sequels.
Yeah.
Because it's like saying you guys destroyed this beautiful, and now it's a rotting corpse of what it was. We're gonna build it back up. I
love
thought
that.
that was a little arrogant, a little cocky, but I enjoyed it.
I love
Yeah.
that. But like we said, I think even there's little plugs in the dialogue that punch at Rob Zombie. Like you mentioned, he has Michael Myers speak.
Yeah.
And everyone there in this, everyone's trying to provoke him to talk.
Right.
Like they're poking at him saying, that was a dumb idea, and we're gonna poke fun at you.
Right.
And you're right, a little
Oh,
arrogant,
damn
maybe a
you.
little overconfident, possibly. But
I think so.
deliberate.
That's okay.
That's all right. So I'm just scrolling through these. I'm trying to find another bad review because those are usually the funnest ones. That last one just threw me off my game.
Yeah, that was
I-
that was a
I was-
bummer.
that has to be edited out of this entire podcast now.
Threw you right off your Bengay, man. I mean, it
Good
just threw
Lord.
you straight off the Bengay on your penis.
Okay, here we go. Stephen Moss, 2 years ago. I was very disappointed. As a huge Halloween fan, I was counting down the days and hours to watch this, as was a huge fan of the 1978 original. But sadly, this film doesn't come close to John Carpenter's original classic. This new film does try, but just doesn't get there. There are not enough jump scenes, and the new Carpenter score is nowhere near as good as the original score from the 1978 original. We're going to say original one more time. I'm amazed Carpenter didn't use more of his original score for this movie. Originally, as it was that original score, which made it as terrifying as it was. Instead, we get lots of predictable scares and pointless kills. Michael Myers is completely out of character by killing people for absolutely no reason.
Isn't that what he does?
That's what he does, I think. In the original,
that's what he does.
Well, hold on, I'm not done. In the original, Michael wanted to kill those teenage girls because they pissed him off.
What? What are you talking about?
And he would kill anyone who got in his way. This is the most contradictory review I've ever read. In this movie, Michael just kills for no reason whatsoever. The doctor character was also shockingly bad. Reminded me of those pointless characters we got in the Halloween sequels in the 90s. Completely pointless and pathetic character, which could have quite easily have ruined the movie. I watched this again at some point as I really want to like this movie, but at the moment, I'm just full of disappointment. And by the way, 80 people found this helpful.
I'm mad. Like this one got me mad. That guy has no idea what he's talking about. Like, when did they piss him off? Was it when they're in the car and they yell because he's speeding? I mean, that's it. What is he talking about? Fuck, it's that in
the end credit scene that you never saw. You never watched to the end.
Exactly.
Hear the breathing.
That makes me
the most contradictory review we've ever had. He says something and then he doesn't even, and then he contradicts it. He says Michael Myers killed them because they upset him. And then 2 seconds later, he's like, he just killed anyone for whatever reason. And it was awesome. What? You just contradicted yourself.
Originally, when I heard that original review, I was originally pissed off. And then
the original score was not used as the original score in this movie. So then I was originally upset.
And here's one thing I will say. They didn't use the theme song all that often in this, which I think is not bad because Rob Zombie, not to keep talking about Rob Zombie, but in he overused it. Like it was like, hey,
welcome to the Tame Aperture podcast where we talk all things Rob Zombie.
I do like House of a Thousand Corpses though. That's a good movie. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad they didn't overuse it because it's, again, like this movie, they have enough in there, enough like fan stuff in there to satisfy people like me, but they didn't go overboard.
Right.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it.
I really liked when they didn't use the music because it had more of an impact.
I agree.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
The origin of that, no, that's not the same.
The origin, originally.
So originally I had thought, what was she? Alan, let's go with Brandon first. Brandon, so here we are kind of coming towards the end of this thing. Give me an overall summary of your thoughts about Halloween 2018 and give me a rating 1 out of 10. Sum it up for us.
It's kind of fun coming into this sort of thing fairly fresh and being able to, I mean, I'll watch a horror film here and there, but it's not, I don't hate them, nor do I like, it's just kind of like when they're in front of me, I enjoy them, but I don't, possibly because no one else in my family likes them. And so I have to watch them by myself, which made me feel like a loser, but,
we could have started a watch party on Netflix. I'd have watched it with you.
We'll do that for next time.
Okay.
I thought it was actually quite, good Lord, I can't speak.
Hey, this is a podcast and we actually have to express our ideas through our words.
I know. I don't get it. Why am I on this goddamn thing? I thought it was actually shot quite beautifully as well. I felt one of my biggest problems with horror movies is that they're always so dark. You can't see what the hell's happening. And I enjoyed that it made it scarier in my opinion, because there was no, I mean, it had its dark moments too, but you could see what was happening, and I liked that about this. So out of 10, as far as that goes, I would give this of horror movies I've seen. And we haven't really talked about performances. I thought everyone did a pretty good job in their performances. As far as, Jamie Lee jumping back into it, I would say 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. What you have to throw on?
Oh, that's right. I
A
forgot about
describer.
that. 7 out of 10 lit caught corpse heads. Is that
Nice?
Did I say that right?
like it.
I'm going to write down lit severed heads.
Lit severed heads. That's much better.
That's good. I
The
like that.
wordsmith and the sexy voice.
So you're
It's
coming
the
in
whole
with
package, folks.
a basic 7 out of 10. You're just kind of in that middle ground. Enjoyed it. Would you rewatch this film? Do you have a need to rewatch it? Do you have to need to see it again?
Probably not, to be honest.
It is not a rewatchable. Alan, that's going to segue into you. Give us your review, your summary, and your rating.
It's like I said, man, it's hard to make a sequel to something that's so beloved. And that's why I think almost all of them have fallen flat. And you can't do it. And it's an ambitious thing. It's interesting that comedians now are really diving into horror. Although I wouldn't say what Jordan Peele does is necessarily horror, but he's still kind of diving into that dark area. And like Chris Rock just did the new Saw. And I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's good, but it's interesting that they're doing this. And between Jordan Peele and these guys, they're very successful. And I don't know if it's because comedy's so much harder to do that you can do anything once you've done comedy. It's kind of how it feels to me. But I think I like this movie. I like the comic relief. I like the kills. I like that it stands up on its own 2 feet, but is very loyal to the original. To me, it's a fun movie. So I'm in, man. Like rewatchability. Here's the one thing though. This isn't a movie I'm going to rewatch all the time, probably once a year just because it's Halloween. But other than that, I don't really have a desire to watch it more than that, which is interesting because usually the only movies I don't want to rewatch a lot are movies I don't like, but I really do love this one. But I feel like this story's been told. And I can't wait for the new one, Halloween Kills. And I'm giving this one's for you, Gabe. I'm giving it 8.0 bags of candy corn.
I think we used candy corn.
Did we?
Sometime last horror month.
I think we did.
But
Brandon, do you like candy corn?
You like candy corn, Brandon?
Once a year.
Get
Sure.
the fuck off the podcast.
Yeah, it's awful. Candy corn is not fit for human consumption.
I mean, if I had a choice. Well, that's what's kind of thinking about like those kill scenes. Like it was so casual. Like he picked up some Werthers on the way and just killed this lady.
Yeah, right.
It's like
Exactly.
So crazy. Just like, oh.
So I was coming in with an 8.0. Now, what was yours, Brandon? 7.4, correct?
I don't know what I said. I think I said
You
7.
said 7 out of 10. So I put 7.0.
So you're 7.
All right,
so you got a
7.0.
full 7.0. Yeah, you gotta really articulate to the 10th degree. Okay.
I did.
None of this 7. Okay. You didn't say 0.0 first. You said 7.
But yeah.
Give me the decimal.
He's just stepping on landmines left and right.
Good Lord.
So Rotten Tomatoes has this at 79% from the critics and 70% from the audience. All right, that's fair. That's right in that ballpark. That's right at that 7 to 8 rating where you're at, where both you guys kind of sit. And then if you look at 6.5 on IMDb, that's a little lower than.
That's
What?
fucking bullshit. That's what that is. That is bullshit.
What if I came in lower than a 6.5? How would you respond?
I'd end the show.
You're like,
I'd overturn this table and I'd storm off.
I'm never co-hosting this podcast with you again. Alan walks
Exactly.
off.
I mean, just how like Brandon will never be back because he talks shit on Nightmare on Elm Street. Talking shit about a Halloween sequel. That's grounds for terminating my relationship with this podcast.
Look, this is a good movie. It's not great.
It's not great.
No. It's good. I mean, it reprises it, gives a little fresh start to it. It for me personally, nowhere comes close to the original. There's just something vintage and authentic and original about the original, like our reviewer, Original, Mr. Original. So I'm going to come in still with a decent rating. I liked the movie. I watched it. I liked it. It like I read from the consensus there. So I'm going to come in with 7 black boots and 0.4 blue jumpsuits.
It's gonna be a tough one to write down in the old book here.
Oh, that's like you didn't like that rhyme? Like a rhyme, Alan. 7 black boots and 0.4 blue jumpsuits. It sounds like a rap style. Look at that. So 7.4.
Cool.
I thought you were going to say 7 Buster Rhymes and
7 H2Os and
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. Like, I don't think that's bad at all. I understand. Like, to me, I have an affinity for this franchise and these characters. So I am always gonna give the ratings probably higher than they deserve. But I can understand why people are going 7.0 or 7.4. Like, I get it.
yeah, no, it and that's fair. It's kind of right between you and Brandon. That's about the middle ground.
Yep.
Just me being a fence sitter.
Have an opinion, man. Have a hot take. Let's go. The
an
hell.
original opinion. It's
Have
yours.
an original opinion.
I
So
can't wait to see
Brandon,
that. I'm going to meet that guy.
thanks for joining us on this podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me back.
Are
The
we going to see
prodigal
you
son.
again in the future? Or are you going to step
Well,
away
yeah.
for 12 months and then come back?
You're gonna bail for 2 years again?
No, I think I'm going to bail for 3.
Son of
In
a
3
bitch.
years, when Al and I are just rocking and rolling, because this podcast is just fucking fire.
Then I'll jump back in.
And then I'll tell you to
Tell you what,
Yes, sir.
I will do. Let's start with the make me watch all the horror movies. I'll do all the horror month. We'll start with that.
I want to come in with your brutal, honest opinion on the next one. And I'm going to send it out. We're going to talk about what that movie is.
Okay.
I'm not going to preview it. I'm not going to give any clues into what it is. But I want to know exactly what your real thoughts are. If you said, I don't really like horror films. I mean, I don't not like it. Just whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what we want to hear. Because you got the tier. You got Alan at the high tier. I'm below Alan, but I love horror movies. And I'm a little below Alan in terms of the aficionado. And then you have Brandon, who's like,
He did watch Martyrs with us, though.
oh my God,
You did watch Martyrs.
I did watch Martyrs.
So you've
Thanks for that.
dove into the deep end on that one.
he's like, that's a rewatchable. I watch it every month.
I'll watch. Yeah, I'll watch anything.
Okay,
Like,
so you're going to
there's-
stick around with us for Horror Month
Yeah,
2021.
let's do horror month, and then we'll.
Then
see what
I'll weigh
happens
my
after that.
options and see if my contract's
see.
worth signing.
We'll see if it's worth signing a contract or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that.
That sounds like a plan. We'll be happy to have you on for the month. Okay.
Nice.
So this is Tame Aperture, reviewing Halloween 2018, directed by David Gordon Green and starring, what's her name again?
Who knows? Some granddaughter. Jamie Lee
Granddaughter.
Curtis.
Yes.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
I'm just kidding. Jamie Lee Curtis, Andi Matichak, and The Shape, played by Alan. Pop quiz.
Nick Castle.
Nice. He got it.
That
Right
was
off the
Tyler
bat.
Perry.
Tyler Perry.
That would be fantastic if at the end of the film it just pulled off and it's Tyler Perry going, "What's up, guys?"
In full Medea outfit.
That's our next review, Medea, just for
Oh,
you, Brendan.
no, I'm not doing horror month then. If we're gonna, didn't he do like a Medea
It's the
Halloween one
spooky
at some
Medea,
point?
Halloween
Spooky Medea.
month.
I mean,
Yeah.
talk about a franchise that is just cashing in. Like, he just
Doesn't spend a
Smart.
dime, gets a dollar.
yeah,
Smart.
He found it.
he
Yeah.
did.
Good for him. Good for him.
Good for him. This is the Tame Aperture podcast. Go check us out at tameaperture.com for previous episodes and to join the community. We're streaming on all platforms, including YouTube. Go give us a watch there. You can see Brandon's ugly mug right on screen. This is Tame Aperture signing out.
The Tame Aperture podcast is produced by Dutch Angle Pictures in association with Studio B Productions. Listen, watch, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and YouTube.